There are moments in sports that don't just belong to a player, they belong to history. Moments when something new enters the game, something that changes how we see everything that came before. And right now, the NBA is standing face to face with one of those moments. Because what's happening with Victor Wembanyama, it's not just hype, it's transformation. A transformation so unreal that even players who've seen it all are left shaking their heads, wondering, how is this even possible? This isn't just a young man getting better. This feels like watching evolution unfold in real time. He was supposed to be great, but what's happening now, what's unfolding in San Antonio, goes beyond what anyone imagined. Because Victor Wembanyama isn't just dominating games, he's reshaping them. And if this version of Wemby is just year 2, then the rest of the NBA might be in serious trouble. When Victor arrived in the league, there was pressure, unreal pressure, the most hyped prospect since LeBron James, the alien from another planet, the future face of basketball. And yet, somehow, he lived up to all of it. In his rookie season, Wembanyama didn't just survive, he stunned everyone. 21 points, 10 rebounds, 3.5 blocks per game, all while being double-teamed, body-checked, and targeted every single night. But stats can't tell the full story. What made that season special wasn't what he did, it was how he did it. He played like someone who already understood the game at its deepest level. He made reads players spend a decade learning. He adjusted to NBA spacing in weeks. And when defenses started forcing him outside the paint, he started hitting threes. That's not supposed to happen. Not for a 7'4" rookie. Not for someone who blocks shots like Prime Mutombo and shoots like Kevin Durant. But that's exactly who he was. And then the season ended. That's when things got scary. While most players rested, Wembanyama rebuilt himself from the ground up, literally. Reports started leaking out of San Antonio. He'd gained nearly 15 pounds of muscle without losing speed. His balance training was off the charts. The Spurs were using biomechanics experts, body mapping, AI data, everything to perfect how he moves. One insider called it the Wemby Project, a fusion of science, sports, and something that feels almost unnatural. The Spurs aren't training a player, they're engineering a weapon. Every drill has a purpose. Every angle, every step, every shot is mapped. Because they know if Wemby reaches his full potential, he won't just dominate. He'll change the game's very structure. And we're already seeing it. In the preseason, the movement looked smoother. The handle was tighter. The jumper quicker. The decision-making faster. It's as if the game itself slowed down for him. And when that happens to players with his size and IQ, you usually get dynasties. Every generation of basketball has its moment of awakening when someone forces the entire league to evolve. In the 60 seconds, it was Wilt Chamberlain. In the 80 seconds, Magic and Bird redefined team basketball. In the 2000s, Shaq's dominance changed how bigs were drafted. And in the 2010 seconds, Steph Curry made everyone reimagine what a good shot even meant. Now, in the 2020 seconds, it's Victor Wembanyama's turn. Because what he's doing is forcing teams to rethink everything. How do you guard someone who can shoot over you from 30 feet and block your shot on the other end in the same possession? How do you plan a defense when your point guard can't even see over his wingspan? There's no playbook for that. The Spurs, under Popovich, realized this faster than anyone. They stopped using him like a center. They started letting him run the floor. They handed him the ball. And suddenly, it wasn't a mismatch anymore. It was a nightmare. When Wemby brings the ball up the court, every defender freezes. Do you press him at half court? You'll get dunked on. Do you sag off? He'll hit the pull-up three. This isn't supposed to exist in reality. A player that long shouldn't move like a guard, but Victor does, effortlessly. Even veteran players are admitting it. And that's when you realize we're watching something the sport's never seen before. Not a big man, not a wing, not a guard, a hybrid of everything. What happens when one player breaks the system? The system adapts. That's exactly what's happening in the NBA right now. Teams have already started building Wemby-proof rosters. The Thunder with Chet Holmgren are creating their own long, switchable lineup. The Rockets are stacking wings like Jalen Green, Jabari Smith, and Amen Thompson. The Celtics, they're experimenting with 6'9" guards and switching defenses that can handle stretch bigs. Everyone's adjusting. Because if you can't stop Wemby, you can't win a championship. And behind the scenes, scouts are whispering about a new draft prototype. Wemby-type players. 7-footers with guard skills. Fluid, versatile, interchangeable pieces. Basketball used to be divided guards, forwards, centers, but now there's only one position that matters, Wemby. And this shift, it's happening faster than anyone expected. Coaches are changing defensive schemes. Analysts are rewriting scouting models. Kids in high school are practicing step-back threes at 6'10". The game is evolving in real time, and it's all because of one player in San Antonio. But here's what most people don't talk about. It's not just the body. It's not just the skill. It's the mind. Because Wembanyama doesn't think like a rookie. He speaks like a veteran monk trapped in a 20-year-old's body. He talks about balance, purpose, patience, things that most stars don't even find until their careers are almost over. When reporters asked him about pressure, he said, "Pressure is something you feel when you don't know what you're doing. That's not arrogance. That's focus." He's calm, but not detached. Confident, but not loud. And that's why the Spurs love him. Popovich once said, "He's not trying to be famous, he's trying to be great." And that's exactly what sets him apart from the hype machine that swallows so many young stars. He's not chasing highlight reels, he's chasing mastery. And that mindset, that's what turns potential into power. It's rare to find someone who's built like a giant but moves like a poet. That's Victor. He plays basketball like it's art, a blend of power and patience, chaos and control. That's what scares the league the most. Because once someone with that mindset figures it all out, he doesn't just win. He dominates for a decade. You can feel it now, the tension. Veterans talking about the next era. Fans realizing they might be witnessing something that makes even LeBron's arrival feel different. Because this isn't just another great player. This feels like the sport itself is upgrading. There's a quiet fear around the league. Not that Victor might fail, but that he might succeed completely. That he might become the perfect storm. Talent, mindset, size, and IQ in one body. And if that happens, the ripple effect will last for generations. We've seen this before. When MJ took over, every kid practiced fadeaways. When Steph took over, everyone practiced steep threes. Now, with Wemby, every 7-footer will start learning how to dribble, shoot, and switch. That's how the sport evolves. Not in decades anymore, but in seasons. So what happens next? If Wembanyama continues this path, we could be looking at one of the greatest defensive players and offensive weapons the league has ever seen. Think about that. A player who might average 30 points and lead the league in blocks. He could anchor the best defense in basketball and lead the Spurs back to championship relevance faster than anyone thought possible. And that's where this gets bigger than basketball. Because this transformation, the muscle, the balance, the evolution, it's not just physical, it's symbolic. It represents what the NBA is becoming. A league where limits don't exist anymore, where being too tall to dribble or too big to shoot is no longer real. Wemby is proving that the boundaries of the sport were never physical. They were mental. And once those boundaries break, there's no going back. Maybe decades from now, people will look back and realize this was the turning point. The moment when the game changed again. Because right now, it's not about what Wemby is. It's about what he's becoming. And that transformation is already insane. When you look at NBA history, every era is defined by one name: Russell, Magic, Jordan, Kobe, LeBron, Curry. And now we might be witnessing the birth of the next one, the player who will define the 2030 seconds, the face of basketball's next evolution. He doesn't roar after dunks. He doesn't talk trash or chase headline. He just moves differently. And maybe that's what makes it so powerful. He's not trying to fit the mold. He's melting it down and building his own. That's the story of Victor Wembanyama, the player who might not just change basketball, but redefine what it means to be human in the sport. Because when you watch him play, it feels like the laws of physics are taking a night off. It feels like watching the future right now. So maybe this isn't about height, or wingspan, or even skill. Maybe it's about evolution itself and how sometimes the next step doesn't crawl in slowly. It arrives. And when it does, there's no going back. The NBA has seen icons, dynasties, legends. But every once in a while, someone comes along who doesn't just play the game, they become the game. And that's what's happening right now. The Victor Wembanyama transformation is real. And it's far from over. If you've been watching this rise, drop your favorite Wemby moment in the comments. Like, share, and subscribe. Because what we're seeing right now might just be the start of basketball's next golden age. This isn't hype anymore. It's history in motion.